Hello and welcome to this Wasabi Cloud NAS with Bucket Move video. My name's Nelly, or Neil Simpkins. I'm a Senior Solutions Architect here at Wasabi in the UK. So occasionally there's a requirement for a customer to move their buckets from one Wasabi storage account to another storage account. Maybe they're with one MSP and for some reason they can't renew with that MSP, so they need to move to another one. And they're both in Wacom, so basically what we need to do is move the buckets between the two accounts. Now, there are some strict stipulations from Wasabi around when we do bucket moves. Everything has to go through sales ops and everything has to be signed off in a DocuSign process. So this isn't something you can just ring up and go, hey, I want to move my buckets. You know, you have to raise a support request and then we will look through it to see whether it's feasible or not. But if it's okay and sales ops and everything and support have said, yeah, we can move the buckets for you, then there are some steps that have to happen within Cloud NAS to allow that once we move the buckets, we can relink Cloud NAS into the new storage account so that it will carry on working. So what we're going to do in this video today is we're going to do a little demo. I'm going to show you some buckets that are synchronized between a Cloud NAS and Wasabi, and then I'm going to move the buckets on the back end to a completely different storage account, and then we'll show you this. I'll show you the steps that we go through in the registry to change the pointing to the new account and set it up with the a new Cloud NAS instance so that it will carry on working as it should. So what I'll do first of all is just lose myself from the video because no one wants to see me. There we go, and yeah, I think we'll just jump straight into the demo there. So here I've got my Cloud NAS server. I've got two sources. They're just local shares. One's called source 1. This has been replicated but not reclaimed, and then I've got source 2, which has been replicated and reclaimed, just so that I can show two different buckets, basically two different sources. Sorry, no other reason. So they are replicated up to Wasabi, and if I open, let me just go back to here, you can see that there they are, replicated up to Wasabi. And if I look at this account, the root user on this, or the account ID is 473015, and if I look at the license, 473015. So that's the Wasabi account that they are replicated to. Now, like I said, there may be a reason that a customer wants to change the Wasabi target. Maybe they're moving from one MSP to another. Maybe there's some other reason why they want to move their buckets from one account to another. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take this Wasabi account on the back here, and we're going to move these buckets from here to another Wasabi account. Let me just show you that account. That's down here. So it's just one of my other accounts. You'll see it's my neilnaz@gmail.com. It's just another test account that I've got. And in here there are just my logs bucket at the moment. There are no other buckets. So I'm going to move the buckets from this account here into this account. Then we're going to go through the steps that need to be done to the Cloud NAS server to get that reconnected. Because at the moment, if I just literally move the buckets and then try and put in the new secret and access keys, it's going to notice for the license that it's a different server and it's not going to allow you to do it. So we do need to make some changes on the Cloud NAS server so that it will re-pick up the new the new Wasabi backend server that we're using, and also then change the get it repointed up to there. So the first thing I'm going to do is pause Cloud NAS basically, because I'm going to move the buckets, so the keys will change so that it will basically fail. So before it does that, I'm just going to pause Cloud NAS. Now, what I'm going to do on the back end now is move all 4 of the buckets. You'll notice for every source bucket, there's also a metadata bucket. So I need to move all 4 of these buckets from this account into my current empty account. Now this is something that we do on the back end, not something that the customer themselves can do. So I'll go ahead and move this. It takes about 15 minutes. So I'll pause the video while I'm doing that, and then we'll come back. I'll show you that the buckets are now in this account, and then we can go ahead and go through the steps that are needed on the Cloud NAS server to get them repointed. So here we are, the buckets have arrived. You can see it's actually been a bit of an elapsed time. I was working on something else. So buckets have arrived here now. We've got some access keys already set up in this account that we can use. And if we go ahead and look in the old account, you'll see that all the buckets have gone. Basically, I've moved all the buckets from one account to another. So if we go back to our Cloud NAS server now, here we go. What we'll do is go ahead and start the settings to change it over to the new Wasabi instance. So now we're going to go ahead and open the registry. There we go. And the setting we want to get to start with is HK local machine, software, Wasabi, Tiger Bridge, tier service, settings, sources. And what we're going to do is take a backup of the settings. So up to here, and right click and export. I'll just stick it on the desktop for now, and I'll call it settings. There we go. So there is our backup of the registry. So now we will go and uninstall Cloud NAS. So let's go and uninstall Cloud NAS now. So we'll go to programs and Cloud NAS and uninstall. Yes. Yep, let's get rid of everything. Cool. Yep, that looks good. So the next thing we're going to do is delete the Wasabi settings out of the registry. So we'll take all the way back here and on the Wasabi, so that's just under software Wasabi, and we shall delete everything under there. So that's good, nice and clean now. So now we're going to go and install the client again, Cloud NAS client. So I got mine in downloads, there we go. Run this little thing, and we'll just go through a standard install. So there we go. NAS is finished installing, so we should get our splash screen now to sign up. So now I have to enter the details of the account where I've moved the buckets to. So if you remember, I moved the buckets to this account, which is my neilsnas@gmail.com. So that's what I need to log in with here. So neilsnas@gmail.com, and the password there. There we go. It's going to set up this default kind of sync, which we actually want. So it doesn't matter where the source folder is, we don't care. I'm just going to point this to UK. And again, bucket name irrelevant. We are going to delete these later on anyway, but we do need to create one sync so that we can grab some of the keys off it. So we'll go ahead and set that up. So there we've finished our setup of Cloud NAS. Reinstall the client. We've got our false, our random generated synchronization. Just leave that in place. We're going to need that in a minute. And if we come back to the registry, we want to refresh it, and we'll now see that there is a Wasabi entry, and we can go down and see that we've got a source and destination in here. So what I need to do now is take note of this key ID and secret. You see they've been hashed. They're not the actual secret and access key. They're much bigger. They've been completely hashed so that you don't know what they are, but I do need a copy of both. So just grab yourself your notepad. There we go. And I'm going to drop the smaller one in, and then I'm going to grab the secret and drop that in as well. Oops. Just check that they're good. Yep, absolutely perfect. So I've got those two saved. Excellent. So I can go ahead now and delete this random source and sync that was created. We don't need that anymore. So we'll go and get rid of those. So now I need to load the settings back into the registry. So I'll double click settings and allow that to re-update the registry. So there we can see it's updated my sources with the two paired folders that I had in the first place. So what I need to do now is change the keys that are generated in here for the keys that were saved earlier. So let me just move these around a bit so I don't need to keep opening and shutting things. So first of all, on destinations, I'll take the first key and I will replace it with the one we copied earlier. Okay, and I will do the same with the secret key. In fact, let me just make sure I've got all of that. Okay, and then I need to do the same on each of my sources. So I'll do this one first. Oops, wrong key. Don't do that, Nelly. Make sure you put the right key in. There we go. And then the secret is this one. Okay, so that's the first source done. So I'll just go ahead and do the second one here. So copy that and change here. We'll copy this one and change here. Okay, lovely. Right, so that's done there. Now I can go ahead and just bring up a command prompt and run this command net stop tier service. So net stop TIERSVC. Interesting. Let's run that as a administrator then. Net stop tier SVC. So that will stop the Cloud NAS service. There we go. And then we're just going to start it again. And as soon as it's done that, we can come into the client and refresh all. And we'll then see our settings come back in from previous, how they were right at the start when we were connected to the other account. And to test it, we can go ahead into the one of the sources buckets, and let's create a new text document in here. I'll just call it Neil, and I'm just going to write Neil in there for fun. And save it, and then what we'll see is that we'll, in fact I'll just refresh this because we need to see the little cloud icons, and then in 1 minute's time when my replication happens, we'll start seeing that this file gets protected. oh, sorry, pause is still on. We just need to unpause the product. And there we go. We should start seeing that this file will get protected in a moment. So there we go. It's gone to green tick. So that tells me that it has been synchronized with the bucket. In fact, we can pull the bucket up and just check that. Where was that? That was in source 2. There we go. Well, that was fun. Thank you for that. There we go. So that was in source 2, and we can see that our Neil text file is there. And then we should see that it gets reclaimed in my reclaim policy is 1 minute. So in a minute's time, we'll see that that file gets stubbed off. So there we go. We can see that the space has been reclaimed. I will just check that we can open a file just to make sure that Cloud NAS is able to retrieve the files. And again, maybe we'll just take this big CLI one and we'll retrieve it from there just to see that yep, it retrieves and the file is happy. There we go. So that's just the way of if we are doing a back-end bucket move, that we can copy the config out of the registry, update the client, and then repoint everything back at the new bucket in the new Wasabi instance. There are, if you've got, this was only, I only had 2 sources here, so it was fairly simple. I could just do this fairly manually. There are some scripts that our product manager Rahul has created for doing this automatically. So there's some scripts for updating the registry keys and the metadata keys. Really only useful if you've got 10, 20, 30 odd buckets synchronizations going on. You don't want to have to change each one manually in the registry, so you can use these PowerShell scripts to do that automatically. And if you want to do that, if you've got lots, if you send me an email, then I can get these scripts sent to you with the instructions on when and how to run them. Well, thank you for watching this video. See you next time.